So this morning, we will start our series of lectures in endocrinology. So we will be talking about the individual endocrine glands, the hormones secreted by each gland, the biologic actions of these hormones, as well as disorders of the endocrine system. And we will start with the general or basic principles in endocrinology. So this is some sort of an introduction to the subject. Okay? So in the body, there are two systems that regulate different body functions or processes. And these are the endocrine system and the nervous system. In the endocrine system, there is a specialized group of secretory cells or endocrine glands. When stimulated, they release a chemical substance which we call a hormone into the circulating blood. In the circulating blood, these hormones are transported, mainly bound to plasma proteins, to a specific site where you have the target cell or target organ. And once a hormone acts on a target cell or target organ, this will elicit a physiologic response from the target cell or target organ. So that means in the endocrine system, there are three major components. We have the endocrine gland, hormone, target cell, or target organ. Okay? Now, regulation of the different body processes by the endocrine system occurs slowly. That is, the latent period or the interval between hormonal stimulation and target cell response takes longer. For example, the full effects of growth hormone and thyroid hormone on the body can be observed only after several weeks or even months. However, there are hormones whose actions are immediate, like for example, the catecholamines, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Once they act on a target cell, immediate ang response ng target cell. Okay? Also, there are hormones which we call general hormones. These are hormones that act on several target cells at the same time, and that will make their effects more widespread or diffuse. Example, thyroid hormone, catecholamines, mga general hormone yan. In contrast, there are hormones, isa lang naman ang target organ. Halimbawa, glucagon, iisa ang target organ niya, and that is the liver. Okay? On the other hand, the nervous system regulates body functions or processes by generating action potentials or nerve impulses transmitted by an efferent or motor nerve to a specific target cell or effector cell, again, eliciting a response from the effector or target cell. And this time, the actions of the nervous system are mediated by a neurotransmitter agent. Now, in contrast to the endocrine system, regulation of the different body processes or functions of the nervous system occurs faster. That is, the latent period or the interval between nervous stimulation and target cell response is shorter. But remember, a specific efferent nerve will innervate a specific efferent or target cell, so that the effects of the nervous system or the actions are mostly localized. Okay? So again, these are the two systems that regulate different body functions or processes. And we mentioned the differences on how these two systems regulate different body functions or processes. But one similarity between them, their actions are mediated by chemical substances. Hormone para sa endocrine system, neurotransmitter agent para sa nervous system. Okay? So in relation to this, let us now mention the different types of chemical mediators or chemical messenger systems. Number one, we have neurotransmitter agents or simply neurotransmitters. Anong nare-recall nyo na neurotransmitter or neurotransmitter agent? Give me an example. Kirsten? Kirsten?
Acetylcholine daw.
Acetylcholine, pwede ring norepinephrine. Okay. So what are the characteristics or properties of a chemical substance for it to be classified as a neurotransmitter? So number one, it is synthesized by a neuron. Number two, after synthesis, it is stored temporarily in vesicles located at the nerve terminal or axon terminal. Number three, an action potential will stimulate its release, and its release is facilitated by calcium, and the process is by exocytosis. At saan nare-release ang neurotransmitter? Sa synaptic cleft. After which, it will bind with membrane receptors on the effector, and that will cause a physiologic response from the effector cell or target cell. Okay? Next, we have endocrine hormones, and there are several examples. Growth hormone, thyroxine, cortisol, estrogen, aldosterone, parathyroid hormone, insulin, etc. Yan ang ating topic ngayon. So sabi ko nga kanina, endocrine hormones are synthesized by endocrine glands, released into the circulating blood to act on a target cell that is located far from the secretory cell. Kaya nga pag na-release sa blood yan, magsisirculate muna bago matransport papunta sa target cell. Okay? A combination is what we call neuroendocrine hormones. So these are chemical substances synthesized by neurons but stored and released by an endocrine gland into the circulating blood. Synthesized by neurons, stored and released by an endocrine gland into the circulating blood. Examples include the antidiuretic hormone or ADH, we have oxytocin, and we have the releasing as well as inhibitory hormones from the hypothalamus. Okay? Paracrine hormones are chemical substances synthesized by a specialized group of secretory cells, but released only into the interstitial fluid, and it acts on target cells located near the secretory cell within the same tissue. Kaya hindi yan nare-release sa blood. Sa interstitial fluid lang kasi magkatabi. Yung secretory cell at saka yung target cell. Now, may I ask you, are you familiar with the pancreatic islets of Langerhans, class? Are you familiar with the pancreatic islets of Langerhans? Yes or no?
Yes, daw.
Okay. Puro si Kirsten lang pala ang kausap ko dito. Siya lang ang sumasagot. Anyway, now in the pancreatic islets, there are several types of secretory cells. Each cell secreting a different hormone. For example, the alpha cells secrete glucagon, beta cells secrete insulin. Now, glucagon can actually stimulate the beta cells to secrete insulin. Insulin, on the other hand, can inhibit glucagon from secreting, or the alpha cells from secreting glucagon. So, magkatabi lang yung alpha at beta cell. Kaya in this case, yung glucagon at insulin nare-release lang sa interstitial fluid, magkatabi ang secretory at target cell. But once glucagon acts on the liver, it is now an endocrine hormone. Once insulin acts on the liver, muscle cell, adipose cell, endocrine hormone na rin siya. Okay? So dapat alam niyo yung pagkakaiba pagka-endocrine at saka paracrine. Next, autocrines are chemical substances that act on the on cells that produce them. Iisa ang secretory cell at saka target cell. Example, yung tumor cells secrete a growth factor that will stimulate the same tumor cells, allowing the tumor cells to grow. And finally, we have the cytokines. So these are protein mediators that mediate the actions of the cells of the immune system. So you have here the different types of chemical mediators or chemical messenger systems. So let us now concentrate on the endocrine system. So what are the different body functions or processes regulated by the endocrine system? So number one is chemical homeostasis, and this will include regulation of carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism. So anong alam niyong hormones ang nagre-regulate ng carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism? Leslie, can you give me an example?
Insulin po.
Okay, so you have insulin and glucagon from the pancreatic islet cells. Other examples include growth hormone from the anterior pituitary. You have thyroid hormones from the thyroid gland, the catecholamines from the adrenal medulla, even cortisol from the adrenal cortex. So all of this can help regulate carbohydrate, fat, and protein metabolism. Itong kasunod, alam na alam nyo. Regulation of water and electrolyte metabolism. So give me examples of hormones that regulate water and electrolyte metabolism. Andiyan na ba si Benedict? Benedict, wala. Si Lian de la Cruz, iha.
Doc, antidiuretic hormones.
Okay, ADH or antidiuretic hormone from the posterior pit. Ano pa? Si Jessie ba andyan?
Dito na po, Doc. Aldosterone po.
Aldosterone from the adrenal cortex. You have the parathyroid hormone from the parathyroid glands. Even vitamin D can help regulate water and electrolyte metabolism. Next, reproduction is completely dependent on the endocrine system. So this will include the actions of the ovarian hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and the testicular hormone, testosterone. Then we have stimulation of human growth. So this will include stimulation of cellular growth, differentiation, maturation, metabolism, and aging. So all aspects of cellular life. And the hormones that are important in human growth are growth hormone, thyroid hormones, you have estrogen, and the androgenic hormones. Okay? And finally, there are some behavioral patterns that can be influenced by hormones. Like for example, in patients under prolonged corticosteroid therapy, they may develop a manic depressive type of behavior. In patients with prolonged or chronic untreated hypothyroidism, one complication is mixed edema madness. In times of stress, there are hormones whose secretion will increase to enable you to cope with stress. And this will include cortisol and the catecholamines. Okay? So again, you have here the different body processes regulated by the endocrine system. Before we continue up to this point, are there any questions, any clarifications? Okay lang kayo? Section D? So far? Wala
Yes,
sumasagot ulit.
No questions.
Okay. Sige. Okay, next. So we will now talk about the components of the endocrine system, and we start with the endocrine glands or organs. So in the body, endocrine glands or organs are grouped into two. The first group is called purely endocrine glands. Purely endocrine because their primary function or their only function is endocrine, and that is to secrete hormones. Okay? So ang gagawin natin dito, I will mention the different types of purely endocrine glands, the hormones secreted by each gland, the target cells, target glands, or target organs of each hormone. Pakitandaan yung mga initial ng mga hormone, yung other names ng bawat hormone. So para itong overview ng endocrine system. Okay? So first in our list of purely endocrine glands is the anterior pituitary gland or adenohypophysis. Pag pituitary lang, hypophysis yun. Pagka anterior pit, adenohypophysis. And you have here the hormones secreted by the anterior pit. Number 1 is GH, that is growth hormone. Other names are somatotropin or somatotropic hormone. So growth hormone, somatotropin, or somatotropic hormone. Now, growth hormone can act on almost all cells in the body that are capable of growing. So anong examples niyan? You have liver cells, bone cells, muscle cells, adipose cells. Liver, bone, muscle, adipose. Okay? Next, PRL is prolactin or lactotropic hormone. Target glands are the mammary glands. But take note, the mammary glands are not endocrine glands. Okay? Next, TSH is thyroid stimulating hormone. Other names are thyrotropin or thyrotropic hormone. Thyroid stimulating hormone, thyrotropin, or thyrotropic hormone. So, andun na yung target gland sa pangalan niya, thyroid gland. Okay? ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, or corticotropin. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, or corticotropin. Target gland is the adrenal cortex, hindi ang adrenal medulla. Only the adrenal cortex. Okay? Then we have two types of gonadotropic hormones or gonadotropin. So ang ating keyword, gonads, meaning to say primary organs of reproduction. So these two types of gonadotropic hormones act on the primary organs of reproduction. And these hormones are the follicle stimulating hormone or FSH, luteinizing hormone or LH. So target glands are the ovaries in females, testes in males. Okay? Anong napansin nyo ngayon sa pangalan nila? Somatotropic, lactotropic, thyrotropic, corticotropic, gonadotropic. So these hormones secreted by the anterior pit are tropic hormones, meaning to say, when they act on their target cells or target glands, they stimulate growth as well as function of their target cells or target glands. Growth and function. Okay? Tapos tingnan nyo itong apat. Anong target gland nila? Thyroid, adrenal cortex, ovaries, testes. Eh lahat yan endocrine glands. So that means most of the hormones secreted by the anterior pit can actually regulate the secretory function of the other endocrine glands in the body. So that when we say master gland, we refer to the anterior pituitary gland. Okay? Next, posterior pituitary gland or neurohypophysis. Neuro, because its origin is neural, it is actually an outgrowth of the hypothalamus. But take note, the posterior pituitary gland does not synthesize any hormones. Its main functions are to store and to release hormones that are synthesized by hypothalamic nuclei. Okay, mag-clarify lang tayo ng tatlong terms. Synthesis, release, secretion. So alam niyo naman pag synthesis, formation, production ng hormone. Tapos ma-store, ma-release. Pag sinabi secretion, synthesis and release yun. Okay? So pag sinabi natin secreted by, so synthesis and release. Okay, now. So ito yung tinatawag nating neuroendocrine hormones. So synthesized by hypothalamic nuclei, stored and released by the posterior pituitary gland. So first, ADH, antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. It is synthesized mainly by the supraoptic nucleus of the hypothalamus. And the target cells are the epithelial cells of the distal convoluted tubules and collecting ducts of the nephron, plus the vascular smooth muscle cell. Kaya nga another name niya is vasopressin. It can cause vasoconstriction. The other one is oxytocin. This is synthesized by the paraventricular nucleus of the hypothalamus. And the target cells of oxytocin are the myoepithelial cells of the breasts, as well as the smooth muscle cells of the uterine wall, yung tinatawag nating myometrium. Okay? Another purely endocrine gland is the thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland has two types of secretory cells. First are the follicular cells that secrete T3 and T4. Ito yung tinatawag nating thyroid hormones. Okay? T3 and T4 are general hormones, meaning to say, they can act on almost all cells in the body. At makikita nyo yan next meeting natin kasi yan ang ating lecture. Next, also in the thyroid are the parafollicular cells that secrete calcitonin. The major target organ of calcitonin is the bone, and its main action is to cause hypocalcemia. So calcitonin is a hypocalcemic agent. Okay? Partly embedded behind the thyroid are the four parathyroid glands that secrete the parathyroid hormone. And the target organs of PTH are bone, intestine, and kidneys, and its main effect is to increase the plasma calcium level. So while calcitonin is a hypocalcemic agent, PTH is a hypercalcemic agent. So PTH and calcitonin are physiologic antagonists. Okay? We mentioned earlier the pancreatic islets of Langerhans with the beta cells secreting insulin, alpha cells secreting glucagon. The target cells of insulin are liver cells, muscle cells, adipose cells. And the target cell of glucagon is uli, liver cell. So just like PTH and calcitonin, insulin and glucagon are physiologic antagonists. While insulin lowers the plasma glucose level, glucagon increases the plasma glucose level. Okay? Now we go to the adrenal glands. And each adrenal gland is divided into two parts. We have the outer cortex and the inner medulla. Now, the outer cortex is further subdivided into three layers. So, the outermost layer is the zona glomerulosa that secretes mineralocorticoids. Now, the most predominant of the mineralocorticoids is aldosterone. And the target cells of aldosterone are the epithelial cells of the DCT and collecting ducts of the nephron. The middle layer is the zona fasciculata, which secretes more glucocorticoids than androgens. And the innermost layer is the zona reticularis, which secretes more androgens than glucocorticoids. Now let us talk about these glucocorticoids. So the most predominant of the glucocorticoids is cortisol. And again, cortisol is a general hormone. It has several target cells. At ano-ano yan? Liver, bone, muscle, adipose, and the cells of the immune system. I repeat, target cells of cortisol, liver, bone, muscle, adipose, and the cells of the immune system. What about androgens? Examples include dihydrotestosterone, we have androstenedione, we have testosterone. Androgenic hormones are anabolic hormones, meaning to say they increase protein deposition into the muscle. And they are also responsible for the development of secondary male sexual characteristics. Okay? Next, we have the adrenal medulla, which secretes 80% epinephrine, 20% norepinephrine. And remember, these catecholamines are also general hormones. They act on several target cells at the same time. In females, we have the ovaries that secrete estrogen and progesterone acting on the female reproductive system. And in males, the testis secretes testosterone that will act on the male reproductive system in addition to being an androgenic hormone or anabolic hormone. Okay? So, sa series ng lectures natin sa endo, iisa-isahin natin itong mga endocrine glands. At 10 o'clock, after our lecture on introduction to endo, i-discuss nyo na ang pituitary gland. Okay? Up to this point, any questions?
None daw.
None so
Okay, so
far.
we continue. The other group we call partly endocrine organs. Partly endocrine because aside from secreting hormones, these organs subserve other functions. Okay? So number one, we have the gastrointestinal tract wherein the mucosal glands in the GI wall secrete gastrin, cholecystokinin, secretin. But aside from its secretory function, alam naman natin ang GIT, may motor function, digestion, absorption. Okay? Kidneys. Erythropoietin, it acts on the bone marrow to stimulate RBC production. The kidneys are also responsible for converting inactive vitamin D to its most active form. So yung pinaka-active form ng vitamin D, and vitamin D is a hormone, napoproduce yan sa kidneys. And what are the target cells of, or target organs of vitamin D? Mainly the intestine, pero may action din siya sa kidneys mismo at saka sa bone. Okay? But aside from its endocrine function, alam na alam nyo ang daming functions ng kidneys. Urine formation, acid-base balance, regulation of plasma volume and concentration. Okay? The placenta secretes the hormones of pregnancy that will include the human chorionic gonadotropin. But aside from secreting the hormones of pregnancy, the placenta also allows exchange of gases, nutrients, waste products of metabolism between maternal circulation and fetal circulation. Okay? In the heart, we have the atrial muscle cells that produce the atrial natriuretic peptide, which acts on the DCT and collecting ducts of the nephron to cause natriuresis. But aside from this, may ibang functions pa ang atria. They function as a blood reservoir. Kasi sila yung tumatanggap ng blood from the systemic circulation at saka from the pulmonary circulation. Okay? The melanocytes in the skin produce melanin, which is a hyperpigmenting agent. Also in the skin, an inactive form of vitamin D is produced. Inactive. Liver. Aside from its metabolic functions, the liver produces IGF, that is insulin-like growth factor. Another name is somatomedin. Now, you will learn later on that IGF-1 or somatomedin C mediates most of the actions of growth hormone that are related to growth. Also in the liver, a less active form of vitamin D is produced. The pineal gland produces melatonin, which helps regulate sleep patterns. And finally, we have the hypothalamus. Before we go to the endocrine function of the hypothalamus, anong alam niyong non-endocrine function of the hypothalamus? Ang dami. Anong alam niyong non-endocrine function of the hypothalamus? Anybody? Section B?
Thermoregulation po.
Thermoregulation. What else?
Satiety center po.
Ano yon?
Satiety center.
Yes, you have there the satiety center, thirst center, swallowing center. Ano pa? Isa na lang. Magtatampo ako pag hindi nyo nasagot.
Autonomics po for
Okay, it's
regulation.
the head ganglion of the autonomic nervous system. So it is involved in regulating visceral functions. Okay. Now, we go to the endocrine function of the hypothalamus. It has something to do with the function of the pituitary gland. Okay. So how is the hypothalamus connected to the pituitary gland? Number one is a physical connection by way of the pituitary or hypophyseal stalk. Okay? Number two is a vascular connection. So there is a network of blood vessels that connect the hypothalamus to the pituitary gland, and we call this the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vessels or portal system. So that neuroendocrine hormones synthesized in the hypothalamus are released into the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vessels and transported to the pituitary gland. Okay? Number three, between the hypothalamus and posterior pit, there are nerve fibers connecting them so that nerve impulses from the hypothalamus can be transmitted to the posterior pituitary gland. Now, that structure, that big structure at the picture is your pituitary gland or hypophysis. Physiologically, it is divided into two. So 80% is the anterior pituitary gland or adenohypophysis, which secretes tropic or stimulating hormones. And 20% is the posterior pituitary gland or neurohypophysis, which stores and releases neuroendocrine hormones like ADH and oxytocin. Now, although the anterior pit is the master gland, the activities of both anterior and posterior pituitary glands are regulated by a higher center, and that is the hypothalamus. So, paano nire-regulate ng hypothalamus ang posterior pituitary activity? Regulation is neural. Kakasabi ko nga kanina, nerve impulses from the hypothalamus can be transmitted to the posterior pit, and that will stimulate the posterior pit to release ADH and oxytocin. So, direct nervous regulation. What about regulation of anterior pituitary activity? It is neuroendocrine. Okay? So, the hypothalamus secretes hypophysiotropic hormones. Hypophysiotropic hormones. These are actually releasing as well as inhibitory hormones that are released into the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal vessels, transported to the anterior pit to stimulate or to inhibit the secretion of an anterior pituitary hormone. So, regulation ng anterior pit activity by the hypothalamus is neuroendocrine. Pag posterior, it is mainly neural. Okay? So, let us now mention, what are these hypophysiotropic hormones secreted by the hypothalamus that will either stimulate or inhibit the anterior pit? Madaling alamin ang function kasi kung ano pangalan nila, yun ang function nila. So number 1, growth hormone releasing hormone. Another name is somatotropin releasing factor. So it stimulates release of growth hormone. Okay? Now, kalaban niya, growth hormone inhibitory hormone or somatostatin. Growth hormone inhibitory hormone or somatostatin inhibits release of growth hormone. We also have a prolactin inhibitory hormone or dopamine, which inhibits release of prolactin. Prolactin inhibitory hormone or dopamine. Ang kalaban niya, prolactin releasing hormone which stimulates release of prolactin. Next, thyrotropin releasing hormone stimulates release of thyrotropin or TSH as well as prolactin. Corticotropin releasing hormone stimulates release of corticotropin or ACTH plus another hormone whose structure bears some similarities with ACTH, and that is the melanocyte stimulating hormone or MSH. But take note, in human beings, we have more ACTH than MSH. So that if there is a tumor in the anterior pit that will cause Cushing's disease, yung hyperpigmentation is caused mainly by an increase in ACTH rather than an increase in MSH. Okay? And finally, we have the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which stimulates release of the two types of gonadotropins, FSH and LH. So tandaan nyo, pag galing sa hypothalamus, it's either a releasing or an inhibitory hormone, target gland, anterior pit. Pagka galing sa anterior pit, it is a tropic or stimulating hormone, and it has a peripheral target gland or target organ. Okay? At dalawa lang anterior pituitary hormone ang merong inhibitory hormone from the hypothalamus. And these are growth hormone and prolactin. Clear? Okay na kayo? Section D up to this point?
Yes, po.
Okay. So we go to the chemical mediator of the endocrine system. So we will now talk about hormones. So first, what are the characteristics and properties of hormones? So these are chemical substances synthesized by a specific group of secretory cells, which we call endocrine glands, compared to exocrine glands. Endocrine glands are ductless. So the hormones are thrown directly into the body fluids, and that will include the circulating blood as well as interstitial fluid. Now remember that the hormonal or endocrine system functions only to regulate existing body functions. So that means hormonal stimulation will not create, it will not add a new function in the body. It will only regulate existing body functions mainly by acting on specific intracellular biochemical enzymes. So once a hormone reaches the target cell, it will either increase or decrease the synthesis and activity of specific enzymes, therefore increasing or decreasing the rate of existing intracellular biochemical processes. Okay? Other properties. Onset. Sabi ko nga kanina, may hormones na maiksi lang ang latent period, katulad ng catecholamines, pero karamihan mahaba ang latent period. But once a hormone acts on a target cell, mas mahaba ang duration ng kanyang action. Okay? Plasma concentration. Hormones are present in the plasma in low concentrations. In fact, you need only a small amount of a hormone to effect a change in the target cell. Now, in relation to this, ano bang ibig sabihin ng plasma half-life of a chemical substance, in this case, a hormone? Anybody, anong ibig sabihin ng plasma half-life? Kasi ang mga hormones, mayroong plasma half-life. Anybody? Charis? Diaz? Huwag kayo matatakot pag tinatawag kayo, kasi kayo nakikita ko mukha, kaya ako tinatawag.
It
Yes,
is the
Nicole,
time
Ano-
required po for the plasma concentration of the hormone to decrease to 50%.
50% of what?
50% po ng yung buhay yung life po nung hormone dun sa ano. Dun
Medyo
sa
tama
plasma.
ka, Iha. Medyo tama yung binasa mong simula. Kulang lang. It is the time it takes for the plasma concentration of a hormone to decrease by 50% of its initial plasma concentration. Let me give you an example. Halimbawa, ang plasma half-life ng thyroxine, 7 days, 1 week. Kung ngayon, ang plasma concentration niya is 100 milligrams per deciliter of blood, ibig sabihin after 1 week, 50 milligrams per deciliter na lang siya. Kasi yung iba dyan, ite-take up syempre ng mga target cell, yung iba naman, ma-excrete. Now, how is plasma half-life related to plasma clearance of a hormone? Are they directly related or inversely related? Plasma half-life, plasma clearance. How are they related? Anybody? Ano na? Asa na si Nicole? Nag-off ka, Navarro. Nicole, are you still there?
Yes, Doc. Pero hindi ko po mahanap yung sa plasma clearance po.
Hindi mo mahanap?
Hindi ko po maano ang plasma clearance sa plasma half-life, Doc.
O sige, okay. Asa na ulit si Kirson?
Doc, I think it's directly related.
Directly related. The longer the plasma half-life, the higher the plasma clearance.
Doc, I think indirectly related po.
Inversely related. Kung mahaba ang plasma half-life, ibig sabihin hindi siya agad na-clear. Okay? So inversely related yan. Okay. Now, next. So in the plasma or in the blood, hormones are present in two forms. You have protein-bound hormone and free hormone. Protein-bound hormone is biologically inactive. It is therefore the free hormone that is biologically active, yung may action sa target cell. Okay. So bakit walang action sa target cell pagka protein-bound? Now, before a hormone can act on a target cell, it has to bind with a receptor in the target cell. At itong receptor, protein molecules din yan na merong binding site that will fit the configuration of the hormone. Eh, paano kung protein-bound na yung hormone? So, yung mismong binding site ng hormone, covered na. So, hindi na siya makabind doon sa receptor, kaya wala siyang action sa target cell. Kaya biologically inactive. But, there are some instances wherein itong protein-bound hormone pwedeng ma-unbound. So, pag na-unbound yung protein-bound, makakabind na siya sa receptor, may action na siya sa target cell. So that, one function of this protein-bound hormones is to act as hormone reservoir. So that pag yung free hormone has been utilized by the target cell, pwedeng ma-unbound yung protein-bound, may action siya sa target cell. Okay? Another function. There are hormones that are not soluble in blood. Example is steroid hormones. So how can they be transported to to the target cell by protein binding. So protein binding will facilitate the transport of hormones in the blood. And number 3, protein binding prolongs the plasma half-life of a hormone. So hindi agad sila nadidegrade, hindi agad sila makli-clear from the plasma. Okay? Now, these proteins that bind the hormones in the blood are globulins, and they are synthesized in the liver. So there are some conditions, again, or instances wherein nag-i-increase ang formation ng binding proteins. Like for example, during pregnancy, an increase in estrogen will stimulate the liver to produce more binding proteins. So mas marami ngayon ang protein-bound hormone. However, under normal conditions, an equilibrium exists in the plasma between protein-bound and free hormone, such that kung napakaraming free hormone, yung kasobrahan will bind with a protein that will render the hormone inactive, reserva. Okay? Pero sabi ko nga kanina, pag nagamit naman yung free hormone, yung protein-bound, pwede ma-unbound. So may action siya sa target cell. Now, while there are some hormones that can be inactivated in the target cells, halimbawa, ang thyroid hormone pwedeng ma-inactivate sa kidney, pwede sa muscle, pwede sa thyroid gland mismo. Most of the hormone inactivation takes place in the liver. And the products of hormone inactivation are cleared from the plasma, mainly through the kidneys. Okay? So yan yung characteristics, properties of hormones. Okay, now, we go to classification. Now, since hormones are chemical substances, one way to classify them is according to their chemical composition. And under this, we have 3 classes of hormones: peptides or proteins, biogenic amines, steroid hormones. Okay? So magsimula tayo sa peptides or polypeptide or protein. So these hormones are made up of amino acid residues ranging from 3 up to 200. Ngayon, matanong ko nga kayo, kailan ba peptide, kailan protein? Anong cut-off? Ilang amino acid residues? Ilan? Kasi ang range natin from 3 to 200. So below sa specific number ng amino acid residue, peptide lang siya. Above that, protein na or polypeptide. Ilan ang cut-off natin sa biochem? Ano, mga iho. May nabanggit na ba, Pearson, sa biochem?
Doc, parang 100 po ata.
100 ba? Okay, actually kay Guyton, it's 100. So susundin natin yun. Ano, kung iba sasabihin ng biochem, kay Guyton muna tayo. So below 100, peptide. 100 and above, polypeptide or protein na yan. Okay? So you have here the peptide or protein hormones. So first, we have the releasing and inhibitory hormones from the hypothalamus except the prolactin inhibitory hormone or dopamine. Okay? Anterior pituitary hormones, but take note, there are 3 anterior pituitary hormones that are not purely proteins. Instead, they are glycoproteins, and these are TSH, FSH, LH, but still classified under peptide or protein. The 2 neuroendocrine hormones from the posterior pit, so ADH, oxytocin. Others are PTH, calcitonin, insulin, glucagon. Okay, so pag di-discuss nyo ng individual hormones na yan, makaklassify ninyo sila kung peptide lang or protein or polypeptide. Sasabihin naman sa inyo yan kung ilang amino acid residues. Okay? So ngayon, this protein or polypeptide hormones are synthesized in the rough endoplasmic reticulum of the secretory cell from a large precursor which we call a pre-pro hormone. And this pre-pro hormone is biologically inactive. Okay? It is cleaved to form a smaller molecule which is now called a pro hormone, still biologically inactive. This pro hormone will be cleaved to form a yet smaller molecule, which is now the active hormone. Pre-pro hormone, active hormone. In some instances, hindi lahat ng pro hormone nagiging active. So ang mangyayari, yung na sobrang pro hormone plus the active hormone are packaged together, stored temporarily in secretory vesicles, and upon stimulation, both can be released by exocytosis into the circulating blood. So pwede kang makakita sa blood na active hormone at saka pro hormone. But although a pro hormone can be released into the blood, it has none of the biologic activities of the active hormone. For example, sa circulating blood, pwedeng may insulin, pwedeng may pro-insulin. Pero inactive yung pro-insulin. Okay? Now, since these are already proteins, they are soluble in the blood. So they are transported in the unbound form. And that will make their half-life shorter. Okay? Next. Hormones that are synthesized from the amino acid tyrosine are called biogenic amines. So this will include T3 and T4, synthesized in the follicular cells of the thyroid gland. After synthesis, they are stored temporarily in the lumen of the thyroid follicle bound to thyroglobulin. Upon stimulation, again, both are released by exocytosis into the blood, and 99% of circulating thyroid hormones is protein-bound. So mahaba ang kanilang plasma half-life. Also, under biogenic amines are the catecholamines plus the prolactin inhibitory hormone or factor or dopamine. So upon synthesis and release into the blood, most of them are transported in the unbound form. However, some are loosely bound to albumin. Okay? Steroid hormones are hormones that are synthesized from cholesterol. So they are lipid soluble. And they are synthesized in the smooth endoplasmic reticulum of the secretory cell. Konti lang ang nai-store dyan. Okay? So karamihan itong steroid hormones upon stimulation, tsaka pa lang sila masisynthesize, and then marirelease. Kokonti ang storage. Now, so this will include sex hormones like estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Then we have the adrenocortical hormones and the different forms of vitamin B. Again, the most active is produced by the kidneys. Since they are lipid soluble, so they are not soluble in blood. So upon release, they are transported bound to specific binding globulins. So meron kang aldosterone binding globulin, cortisol binding globulin, testosterone binding globulin, estrogen binding globulin. And that will make their plasma half-life longer. Okay? So ito yung classification based on chemical composition. Another way to classify hormones is according to their site of action. So we have local hormones, and this will include the paracrine control system that exists in the pancreatic islets of Langerhans. So in this case, the secretory cell is located near the target cell, so these hormones are released only into the interstitial fluid. Another example are the gastrointestinal hormones, some of them. For example, gastrin. Now remember that gastrin is synthesized by the G cells, located in the antral portion of the stomach. Anong isang target cell niya? Parietal cells. Para mag-secrete ng hydrochloric acid, ay nasan yung parietal cells? Nasa stomach pa rin. So local hormone siya. In contrast, ito na yung mga general hormones. So they act on target cells located far from the secretory cell, so they circulate first in the blood. And most of them act on target cells na hindi lamang iisa. Marami silang target cell. So ito yung thyroid hormones, growth hormone, yung tropic hormones from the anterior pit, sabihin nyo isa lang naman ang target organ, pero malayo pa rin. Halimbawa, FSH and LH from the anterior pit, saan siyang aksyon? Sa ovary at testis na nasa pelvic region. So malayo pa rin siya. Okay? Kasama rin dito yung catecholamines and cortisol. Up to this point, are there any questions? Wala? Okay, so we continue. We now go to mechanism of action of hormones. Sabi ko kanina, before a hormone can act on a target cell, it has to bind with a receptor in the target cell. So you need a hormone receptor complex or hormone receptor interaction. Now, what are these receptors? Now, there are also chemical subunits. Most of them are proteins. Some are glycoproteins. Okay? One property of these receptors is stereospecificity, meaning to say, the binding site of a receptor will fit the configuration of only one type of a hormone, and that will make the hormone receptor interaction specific. Halimbawa, in the bone, PTH will bind with a receptor, that receptor will not bind calcitonin. In the liver, insulin binds with a receptor, that receptor will not bind glucagon. In the endometrium of the uterus, estrogen binds with a receptor, that receptor will not bind with progesterone. So magkakaiba ang kanilang receptor, specific yan. Another property is saturability. So the binding site, the receptors in a target cell, ang number nila hindi infinite. So finite yung number nila. So that kung halimbawa, na-occupy na ng hormone lahat ng binding site at ng mga receptor, yung kasobrahang hormone nga, sabi ko kanina, wala nang ipagbabind pa sa receptor sa target cell. So yung sobra, magbabind sa plasma protein, magiging siyang hormone reservoir. Okay? Ngayon, however, this hormone receptor occupancy that is needed to elicit a response from the target cell is quite low. Hormone receptor occupancy, meaning to say, hindi naman lahat ng binding site, hindi lahat ng receptor sa target cell kailangan ma-occupy ng hormone para magkaroon siya ng effect. Kasi nga, konting hormone pa lang ang mag-bind sa receptor, may effect na agad yan sa target cell. Kaya meron tayong tinatawag na spare receptor. Ang spare, ano ba yan sa Tagalog? Reserva na receptor. So that, pag nasira or nag-decrease itong mga receptor sa target cell, the manifestations of impairment are not immediately observed. Okay? Now, in relation to this, the number of receptors in a target cell, again, it is not infinite. It can either decrease or increase. Kasi mga protein yan. So, pwedeng ma-degrade, pwedeng ma-resynthesize, or pwedeng mawala siya totally. Ngayon, pag nag-decrease o nawala totally ang receptor sa target cell, kahit anong dami ng hormone, wala siyang action sa target cell. Okay? So let me give you an example. Type 1 diabetes mellitus. Type 2 diabetes mellitus. In type 1, there is destruction of the pancreatic beta cells. So, decrease o wala kang insulin talaga. Kaya nag-i-increase ang blood glucose level. In type 2, initially, intact ang pancreatic beta cells. Normal or increase ang insulin. Eh bakit tumataas pa rin ang blood glucose level? Kasi sa target cell, nasa receptor ang problema. Insulin cannot act on the target cell kasi either mali ang conformation, may abnormality sa receptor o nasira siya. Kaya tumataas pa rin ang blood glucose. Pag ganyan ang condition, ang tawag natin doon, hormone resistant. Walang action yung hormone sa target cell. Another example, pag-aaralan nyo mamaya sa pituitary, growth hormone deficiency. So that will produce a pituitary dwarf. So wala talagang growth hormone. Pero meron din tayong tinatawag na Laron dwarfism, kung saan meron or increase ang growth hormone pero walang receptor sa liver. Remember, ang ginagawa kasi ng growth hormone, i-stimulate yung liver para mag-produce ng IGF-1. And this IGF-1, that will mediate the actions of growth hormone related to growth. So kung walang receptor sa liver for growth hormone, walang IGF-1. So stunted pa rin ang growth ng tao. Yun ang pagkakaiba ng Laron dwarfism, hormone resistant siya, kesa doon sa talagang pituitary dwarf na walang growth hormone. Okay? So in relation to regulation of the number of receptors in the target cell, may dalawang mechanism, upregulation and downregulation. Okay. Anong ibig sabihin ng upregulation? If a target cell has been exposed to a low concentration of a hormone for some time, kukunti yung hormone, this stimulates the production of receptors in the target cell, increasing the sensitivity of the target cell to that hormone. So isang hormone lang ang pinag-uusapan natin dyan, and that is self-explanatory. Okay? Another condition ng upregulation will now involve two hormones. So, if a target cell has been exposed, let's say, to a high concentration of hormone A for some time, this will now stimulate the production of receptors in the target cell for another hormone. Tawagin natin siyang hormone B, increasing the sensitivity of the target cell to that other hormone. Okay? Let me give you an example. One action of oxytocin is to stimulate uterine contraction during the third trimester of pregnancy. But oxytocin by itself cannot stimulate uterine contraction unless the uterus has been exposed to a high concentration of estrogen, which happens towards the end of the gestational period. Bakit? Because it is estrogen that will stimulate the production of receptors for oxytocin in the myometrium. Only then can oxytocin stimulate myometrial or uterine contraction. Okay? So that means estrogen upregulates the number of receptors for oxytocin in the myometrium. The opposite of this is downregulation. So this time, a target cell has been exposed to a high concentration of a hormone for some time. So na-occupy lahat yung binding site ng receptor, na-saturate, eventually nasira ang receptor. So that will now decrease the sensitivity of the target cell to that hormone. The other condition again will involve two hormones. When a target cell has been exposed to a high concentration of hormone A for some time, this will now decrease the number of receptors for hormone B, decreasing the sensitivity of the target cell to hormone B. So let me give you another example. So in the second half of the female monthly cycle, mataas ang progesterone, mataas ang estrogen, pero mas marami kang progesterone. Ang ginagawa ng progesterone, dinidecrease niya yung receptor for estrogen in the endometrium. So less sensitive yung endometrium sa estrogen in the second half of the cycle. Okay, and you will discuss more of that when you go to the female reproductive system. Okay na? So we continue. Nasaan ba sa target cell itong mga receptor na to? Wait lang ha. Okay, some receptors are located in the cell membrane or plasma membrane of the target cell, and this is true for peptide or protein hormones as well as the catecholamines. For steroid hormones, most of the receptors are in the cytoplasm, some in the nucleus. most in the cytoplasm. But for thyroid hormones, they act directly on nuclear receptors. Okay? So isa-isahin natin. What are the different types of membrane receptors? You are familiar with ligand-gated ion channels or ionophores, which is utilized mainly sa nervous system. Hindi yan masyado sa endocrine. Halimbawa, you have a hormone or neurotransmitter binding with a membrane receptor that will open up specific ion channels, causing depolarization and excitation of the target or effector cell. Halimbawa, acetylcholine binding with nicotinic receptors. So, hindi yan masyado sa endo. Actually, ang mas ginagamit sa endo, yung second type, yung metabophore. So, these are G protein link receptors that will involve the formation of a second messenger. It is actually the second messenger that will mediate the actions of the hormone on the target cell. And what are the different types of second messengers? So first, we have the adenylyl cyclase cyclic AMP system. So paano yan? So you have a hormone that will bind with a membrane receptor, causing activation of G proteins. Remember that G proteins are located on the inner surface of the membrane. Once activated, these G proteins will stimulate an enzyme, adenylyl cyclase, that will lead to the formation of cyclic AMP. Cyclic AMP here is your second messenger. Cyclic AMP stimulates protein kinase A. Pakidagdag specific yan. Protein kinase A. That will cause phosphorylation of specific intracellular proteins and stimulation of specific intracellular biochemical reactions. Anong sabi natin kanina? Paano nagre-regulate ang hormone ng activity ng target cell? By acting on specific intracellular enzymes. In this case, you have adenylyl cyclase and protein kinase A. And the second messenger again here is cyclic AMP. Okay? Now, these are the hormones whose actions are mediated by cyclic AMP. By the way, kung ano yung pinakita ko sa slide, yan yung susundin natin. Kasi minsan sa exam, sasabihin nyo, di ba pwede naman po ito dito kasi according to Bernoulli, according to Guyton, ito na ang susundin natin kung ano yung nasa slide ko. Okay? So first, from the hypothalamus, we have the corticotropin-releasing hormone and growth hormone, inhibitory hormone, or somatostatin. From the anterior pit, corticotropin, the two types of gonadotropins, and thyrotropin. HCG, PTH, calcitonin. ADH when it binds with V2 receptors on the membrane of the epithelial cells of the DCT and collecting ducts of the nephron. Catecholamines when they bind with beta receptors. Angiotensin 2 when it binds with membrane receptors on the epithelial cells of the DCT and collecting ducts of the nephron, and glucagon. So remember, the actions of these hormones are mediated by cyclic AMP. Okay? Another type of a G protein link receptor second messenger system will now involve activation of phospholipase C. So ito ngayon ang enzyme that will cause breakdown of phosphoinositol biphosphate into inositol triphosphate and diacyl glycerol. The action of inositol triphosphate is to increase intracellular calcium sa visceral at vascular smooth muscle. Dito, calcium binds with calmodulin, and that will initiate contraction of the visceral and vascular smooth muscle. Okay? On the other hand, diacylglycerol stimulates protein kinase C. So kanina sa cyclic AMP, it is A, dito C. Again, Protein kinase C will phosphorylate specific intracellular proteins that will stimulate specific intracellular biochemical reactions. And these now are the hormones whose actions are mediated by the phospholipase C second messenger system. From the hypothalamus, gonadotropin releasing hormone, growth hormone releasing hormone, thyrotropin releasing hormone. Oxytocin from the posterior pit. ADH this time, when it binds with V1 receptors, saan yan? Sa membrane ng vascular smooth muscle. Catecholamines when they bind with alpha receptors. And angiotensin 2 when it binds with receptors on the membrane of the vascular smooth muscle cells. Okay? So far we have mentioned two types of membrane receptors. Yung ionophore na hindi masyado ginagamit sa endo, itong metabophore na meron second messenger. May pangatlong type ng membrane receptor, ang tawag natin enzyme-linked. Okay? Bakit tinawag silang enzyme-linked? Because once a hormone binds with this receptor, nagkakaroon ng autophosphorylation of specific kinases in the target cell. So, enzyme kinase. And these are the receptors that bind the following hormones. Growth hormone, prolactin, insulin. Okay? So, yan yung mechanism of action ng peptides, proteins, catecholamines. They bind with membrane receptor, kaya lang, iba't ibang klase ang membrane receptor. Clear? Next, we go to steroid hormones. So they are synthesized from cholesterol, therefore they are lipid soluble, so they can easily cross the membrane of the target cell and bind with cytoplasmic receptors. Then the steroid hormone receptor complex enters the nucleus where it will stimulate DNA synthesis. So steroid hormones are gene stimulators. Stimulation of DNA synthesis will then lead to the formation of specific messenger RNAs that will now direct the synthesis and activity of specific intracellular enzyme. Ayan na naman, intracellular enzyme. Okay? And finally, mechanism of action of the thyroid hormones. Now, thyroid hormones are actively transported across the membrane of the target cell, and they interact directly with nuclear receptors, also stimulating DNA synthesis. So just like the steroid hormones, thyroid hormones are gene stimulators. So this will also lead to the formation of messenger RNAs that will direct the activity and synthesis of specific intracellular enzymes, including the sodium-potassium ATPase. Kaya mapapag-aralan natin next meeting ng action ng thyroid hormone to increase metabolism of almost all cells in the body. Kasi isa sa mga enzyme na ina-activate nila, yung sodium-potassium ATPase. Alam na alam niyo yan, di ba? Okay na? Up to this point, do you have any questions? So, pakatandaan yung hormone receptor interaction. Okay? By the way, pag nag-SGD tayo ng endo, pag pinapadiscuss sa inyo mechanism of action, halimbawa ng thyroid hormones, hindi nyo sasabihin na increase heart rate, increase GI motility, increase sweating. No. Pag sinabing mechanism of action, we are referring to hormone receptor interaction. Okay? Okay, so we now continue. We now go to mechanisms that regulate endocrine function. Number one is indirect nervous control via the hypothalamic, hypophyseal, target gland axis. Remember, ang hypophysis, pituitary. And we are referring to the anterior pit here. Okay? Hypothalamic, hypophyseal target gland axis according to Guyton. For Burke-and-Levy, it is called endocrine axis. Pareho lang yun. Okay, paano yan? So the hypothalamus secretes a releasing factor or releasing hormone which will stimulate the anterior pit to secrete a trophic hormone which will stimulate a target gland to secrete a hormone. Kaya hypothalamic, hypophyseal, target gland axis. And this is the mechanism that regulates the function of the following glands: anterior pit, thyroid, adrenal cortex, ovaries, testes. Okay? So let me give you an example. So the hypothalamus secretes the thyrotropin-releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pit to secrete the thyroid-stimulating hormone or thyrotropin, which will then stimulate the thyroid gland to secrete the thyroid hormones. So hypothalamic, hypophyseal, target gland here is the thyroid. Okay? So ibig sabihin lang, if you have TRH, you have TSH, you have T3 and T4. Without stimulation from TRH, wala ka rin TSH, wala ka rin T3 and T4. So simple lang. Okay? Mamaya natin i-discuss yan. Under this HH target gland or endocrine axis, we have a negative feedback control. So, anong ibig sabihin? If there is excess free hormone from a target gland, excess free hormone, this inhibits the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland. The opposite is positive feedback, or what we call feed forward. Okay? This time, excess free hormone from a target gland will stimulate the hypothalamus and anterior pit. Kumbaga, pag negative feedback, increase, and then decrease, decrease. Pag positive feedback, increase, increase, increase. Kaya feed forward. Okay, example. So ito yung kanina. Sabi ko nga, kung may TRH, may TSH, meron T3 and T4. Ngayon, if there is excess free T3 and T4, inhibited ang anterior pit. So, decrease ang TSH. Inhibited ang TRH, ang hypothalamus. So, decrease ang TRH. Pag nag-decrease ang TRH, nag-decrease ang TSH, what will happen to T3 and T4? Magdi-decrease siya back to normal. Kasi kanina, excess. At pag nag-normalize na yan, or even pag nag-decrease below normal, tanggal ang negative feedback. Okay? Ngayon, for endocrine glands whose activities are regulated by this axis, may tatlong hierarchy ng disorder. Primary, secondary, tertiary. Primary, if the disorder is in the target gland. So thyroid in this case. Secondary, if the disorder is the anterior pit. Tertiary, pag hypothalamus. Ang pinaka-common, yung primary. Okay? At iba-iba ang hormonal picture. Okay, tingnan natin. Tumingin lang kayo dyan. Tingnan natin kung naintindihan nyo. If it is primary hypothyroidism, saan ang disorder? Primary hypo. Thyroid. Normal ang hypothalamus, normal ang anterior pit. So kung ang disorder mo nasa thyroid, primary hypo, alin ang magdi-decrease? Alin ang decrease?
T3, T4.
Primary hypo. Ano? Anybody?
T3, T4.
T3, T4. Pag nag-decrease ang T3 at T4, wala kang negative feedback. What will happen to TRH? What will happen to TRH?
Mag-i-increase po.
Increase. Ang TSH?
Increase din po.
Increase. Hindi yan positive feedback ha. Kasi pag positive, dapat increase ang T3 and T4 stimulated. Ito hindi. Nag-decrease ang T3 at T4, nawala ang negative feedback, increase TRH, increase TSH. That is not positive. Okay? Ngayon, secondary hypothyroidism. So the disorder is in the anterior pit. Alin ang magdi-decrease?
TSH.
Okay. Pag decrease ang TSH, what happens to T3 and T4?
Decrease rin.
Decrease, yes. What will happen to TRH?
Increase po.
Increase. So magkakaibang hormonal picture, ha? If it is tertiary, TRH ang nag-decrease. So decrease din ang TSH, decrease din ang T3 and T4. Baliktarin natin. Primary hyperthyroidism. So you have a hyper-functioning thyroid gland. So increase T3 and T4, eto yan, negative feedback. Decrease TRH, decrease TSH. If it is secondary hyperthyroidism, increase ang TSH. Therefore, increase ang T3 at T4, negative feedback sa hypothalamus, decrease ang TRH. But, if it is tertiary hyper, lahat sila increase. Okay? Ngayon, if the hormone from a target gland inhibits the anterior pit, we call that long loop of the endocrine axis. If the hormone from a target gland inhibits the hypothalamus, it is still long loop of the endocrine axis. Long loop. Okay? Next. The hypothalamus secretes the gonadotropin growth hormone releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pit to secrete growth hormone. If there is excess, negative feedback. Since magkalapit lang itong hypothalamus at anterior pit, ang tawag natin ngayon dyan, short loop. Okay? But remember, the hypothalamus secretes not only a releasing hormone, but also an inhibitory hormone like dopamine, which will now inhibit prolactin secretion. You also have somatostatin that will inhibit growth hormone secretion. Okay? Next. Ito yung negative at positive feedback. Estrogen is one hormone that can exert both a negative and a positive feedback effect on the hypothalamus and anterior pit. So isa-isahin natin. So from the hypothalamus, we have the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pit to secrete FSH and LH, which will now stimulate the ovaries to secrete estrogen. Now, if there is a moderate increase in estrogen, moderate, the effect is negative feedback. Decrease GnRH, decrease FSH and LH, decrease estrogen back to normal. Okay? On the other hand, an excessive increase in estrogen will now have a positive feedback effect. So, lalong dadami ang GnRH, FSH, LH, lalong pang dadami ang estrogen. So, negative feedback pag moderate increase, positive feedback pag excessive increase. Again, pag-uusapan nyo yan pagdating nyo sa female reproductive system. And actually, that is very interesting, lalo na sa mga babae. Okay? So ngayon, let us just mention in passing yung iba pang endocrine glands whose actions are regulated by the HH target gland axis or endocrine axis. So here, we have the hypothalamic, pituitary, testicular axis. So the hypothalamus secretes the gonadotropin releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pit to secrete FSH and LH. Target gland is the testis in males. For FSH, the target cells are the Sertoli cells that secrete inhibin. Inhibin is a hormone also. Okay? An increase in inhibin will have a negative feedback on the anterior pit that will decrease FSH. Hindi ang LH, FSH lang. On the other hand, target cells of LH are the interstitial cells of Leydig that secrete testosterone. And if there is excess testosterone, negative feedback on the hypothalamus, decreasing GnRH, negative feedback on the anterior pit, decreasing LH. Hindi naman ngayon ang FSH. Okay? Ito uli yung hypothalamic, hypophyseal, ovarian axis na discuss na natin yung estrogen. Pumunta ngayon tayo sa progesterone, also from the ovaries. Excess progesterone has a negative feedback on the hypothalamus that will decrease GnRH, negative feedback on the anterior pit that will decrease LH, hindi ang FSH. So GnRH at saka LH, pag excess progesterone. Wala siyang positive feedback unlike estrogen. Okay? Yung thyroid na discuss na natin kanina. Punta na tayo sa adrenal cortex. So the hypothalamus secretes the corticotropin-releasing hormone, which stimulates the anterior pit to secrete ACTH or corticotropin, which will now stimulate the adrenal cortex, mainly the two layers, middle, inner. Fasciculata reticularis, hindi masyado sa glomerulosa. Kaya ang secretion ng aldosterone, iba ang mechanism. So this will involve secretion of the glucocorticoids, mainly cortisol and androgenic hormones. And the negative feedback here is exerted mainly by an increase in cortisol, not so much by an increase in androgens, because the androgenic hormones secreted by the adrenal cortex are weak, so that the negative feedback is exerted mainly by excess cortisol. So ganun din, decrease corticotropin-releasing hormone, decrease ACTH. Okay? So yan ulit, yung indirect nervous control via the hypothalamic, hypophyseal target gland axis or endocrine axis. Now we go to another mechanism. So hindi na ito yung HH target gland axis. We call this now modified negative feedback according to Guyton. But to Bert and Levy, it is called physiologic response-driven feedback. Physiologic response-driven feedback. Pareho lang yun. Why modified? Because the negative feedback control here will not involve the hypothalamus and anterior pituitary gland. Labas sila dyan. The negative feedback effect is not exerted by an excess hormone, but instead by excess chemical substance or metabolite in the blood. Could be a nutrient like glucose, could be an electrolyte. However, the plasma level of this metabolite is regulated by a hormone. And this is true for the following endocrine glands. Parathyroid, so this will involve mainly calcium. Islets of Langerhans, the metabolite is glucose. Aldosterone, mainly potassium, sometimes sodium. To a lesser extent sodium, but it's mainly potassium. Parafollicular cells, so this is secretion of calcitonin, calcium din yan. Okay? So example, hypocalcemia is the main stimulus that will increase the secretion of the parathyroid hormone. The parathyroid hormone acts on the bone, intestine, and kidneys. The net effect is not just to cause normocalcemia, but to cause hypercalcemia. And this hypercalcemia will have a negative feedback effect on the parathyroid glands, inhibiting or decreasing further secretion of PTH. So simple. You have a negative feedback mechanism here without the involvement of the hypothalamus and anterior pit. The negative feedback is not exerted by excess hormone in the blood, but by hypercalcemia. But the plasma calcium level is regulated by a hormone, and that is PTH. Okay? Okay, next. Another mechanism we call permissive action of a hormone. Let me put it this way. The presence of one hormone will augment or increase the action of another hormone. Example, epinephrine is a potent vasoconstrictor, but in the presence of cortisol, lalong lumalakas yung kanyang vasoconstricting effect. So cortisol has a permissive action on epinephrine. Okay? And the last mechanism is now direct nervous control. So there are two endocrine glands whose activities are directly regulated by the nervous system. And these are the adrenal medulla and posterior pituitary gland. Okay, kung naalala pa niyo yung ating lecture sa autonomics, there are some sympathetic preganglionic fibers that synapse directly with the adrenal medullary cells, membrane of the adrenal medullary cells, so that when the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated, fight or flight response, these preganglionic fibers release acetylcholine that will bind with nicotinic 2 receptors on the membrane of the adrenal medullary cells, stimulating them to release 80% epinephrine and 20% norepinephrine, reinforcing or potentiating sympathetic adrenergic effects. Kaya nga di ba sabi natin, although the adrenal medulla is an endocrine gland, it can also be considered as part of the sympathetic adrenergic nervous system. Okay? And the last gland is the posterior pit, na merong nerve fibers connecting it to the hypothalamus, so that impulses from the hypothalamus can be transmitted to the posterior pituitary gland, and that will stimulate the release of stored ADH and oxytocin. Okay? So that is introduction to endocrinology. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to clarify? Tingnan nyo muna yung mga notes nyo. Anyway, this lecture is being recorded.